Mini skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, dip my body
Hello. You are now tuned in to the A Little Bit A Lot podcast. I'm your host, Kristen. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for joining me. This week we are talking about Love Island yet again. We are so close to the end of the season. And normally I feel a bit sad during this time, but now I'm feeling a little bit of relief, guys. I think that collectively we need to be put out of our misery. We have gone through so many trials and tribulations with this season, and I'm ready to move on to the Love Island spinoff Beyond the Villa, okay? Because we got PPG, we got Kenny, we got Miguel, we got Cordell. Like, is anybody else, like, make some noise in the chat, like W's in the chat if you guys are excited to see the girlies from season 6. Like, I miss them, especially Serena and Cordell. I'm so excited to be able to see them again. Leah has been making a lot of great business moves. You know, we just watched Janae on Kiki Palmer's podcast. Like, they are really getting ready for this, press run for us to be able to get a glimpse in their lives of what they've been up to for the past year since season 6. So I'm excited to be done with season 7, move on and go back to season 6 and see what they're up to. So once I start watching that, I'm sure I will let you guys know my thoughts. But for now, we're talking about Love Island USA season 7, and we are going to discuss episodes, where we leave off. Okay, 27 through 32, right? Because the day that I'm recording this, I'm not able to talk about episode 33 until next week. So let's just get straight into it. But before we do that, and I share my thoughts with you guys on all of the juicy tea that's been going on this past week with Love Island, I want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my YouTube channel. Your girl's on her road to her first 800 subscribers. So if you're watching this episode on YouTube, go ahead and give this video a like, comment down below to let me know what are your thoughts on Love Island USA season 7 so far. Are you excited for it to end? Who do you think is gonna win? Let me know all your bets and your, who are you rooting for? You know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments down below, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, rate that 5 stars and leave a review to let me know what you think about the show. All of the things that I'm reading to you guys are my thoughts as I'm watching the episodes. Okay? So I just have a few notes that I write down for each episode. So for episode 27, while I was watching it, I wrote down that Huda's antics continue, and she was upset that everyone was yelling at her in the stand on business / mail challenge, and she was just really acting like she was the only victim of the night. And it's like, no shade to Huda. I get it, feeling like people are not understanding you is an alarming feeling. It's not the best feeling, but at the same time, wasn't Amaya also a victim during the stand on business challenge? And didn't she get dragged by 3 men? Austin, Ace, and Zach were literally all on her case, but you don't see her crying and being like, I'm so upset. I don't understand. Huda, please, you're not the only victim of the night. Everybody kind of got drugged through when it came to this challenge, so I don't really understand. And then it was so annoying because after they were done with the challenge, and all of the girls were sitting together, and Huda's just standing there making this look on her face, not talking. Next morning, I think she ended up eating breakfast by herself, and it's okay, go ahead and do that, girl. If you're gonna act like you're the only victim of the night, then you do that, whatever. And then we move on to Olandria apologizing to Huda, for what she did during the stand on business challenge. And at the end of the day, I understand that Huda did a lot of things that were wrong. Other people also did a lot of things that were wrong. And even though Olandria is my client, I can admit that that was kind of shady for her to out the fact that Huda and Chris had kissed during that challenge. So I like the fact that Olandria apologized to Huda, and she was just Huda was okay, going forward, anything that me and you talk about, can that just be left between me and you? And they were yeah, I apologize. So I'm glad that they made up for that. And also Huda and Shelly also finally made up for what went down during the heart rate challenge, because Shelly was upset with Huda, doing the most when it came to her turn, when she was dancing all up on Ace. So glad that that's like officially behind us. And then in episode 27, I wrote down that Amaya rightfully calls Zach a odd individual, which had me cracking up because I feel like that's like the best way to describe his antics. Like, why are you acting so odd? Like, why are you acting so weird? And this was after she called him this, an odd individual, after he decided to add his 2 cents in during the Stand on Business challenge in front of everyone. And I talked about it last week. I thought that that was really weird because if she's already being dragged for being herself by Austin and Ace, why would you choose now as my current couple to then add your 2 cents onto that when I'm already like going through the gags? I'll never understand. But you know, I guess he did apologize for that. And then he turned around and also in that same conversation then told Amaya that he didn't actually want to kiss her the first time that she asked him for a kiss, which was like also, again, really weird to say. But yet I wrote down, didn't he ask Olandria for a kiss that same day? Like, I'm so confused. You're saying that you didn't actually want to kiss Amaya, but you turned around and asked Olandria for a kiss? I don't know. I just feel like at the end of the day, I'm glad that after this conversation, Amaya basically was just like, yeah, it's a chop for Zach. And then at the end of episode 27, that's when Austin, TJ, Adrena, Jaden, and Grayson got dumped from the villa. So, you know, smooches, see y'all at the reunion if we have one. Good luck to y'all. But I'm glad that we finally got Austin out of the villa because I know that over time he, you know, proved that he wasn't as annoying as I thought he was. Like, he's a little funny, but at the same time, the Trump allegations, like, that's just not cool with me. He had to go. Love that he was able to find a connection with Jaden. Hopefully they continue to keep exploring that outside of the villa. And I'm sad that, you know, Adrena wasn't able to find a connection, but at the end of the day, she's a bad teen, so I don't really think that she'll have any, like, trouble, you know, finding somebody outside of the villa. So good luck to her on that as well. And shout out to Grayson. I know that she kind of went through the gags with Pepe, but you know, it's all in the name of the game. So, you know, they ended up leaving. And then that brings us to episode 28. And the notes that I wrote down for episode 28 was that Iris was triggered in that episode at the beginning with the fact that TJ was gone, which I was just like so confused because her and TJ only spent a few days together, but I guess they grew their connection relatively quickly. But I just didn't really see the connection, in my opinion. I feel like TJ, I never really was a fan of him, especially like after the way that he was like acting funky when he rated the Casa girls' kisses, like all critically. And it's like, why are you being so serious for? I don't understand. I just feel like TJ is not the type of person that like I would personally get along with in person. He just seems like, I don't know, I don't really get a good vibe from him, and he seems like his personality just isn't all that interesting. So I was just really confused as to why Iris was like so sad that he was gone. But hey, you know, she said that was her boo. So I felt kind of bad, you know, with how much she was crying. It was giving Hannah once Charlie ended up getting voted off. I'm like, dang, Iris, like, I didn't know you was in it like that with TJ. But that ended up like only lasting for so long because then the very next morning, Iris ended up starting to explore her connection with Pepe. And I thought that that was really interesting because, you know, they were bombshell sister and brother when they first came in together. And I always think it's really interesting when like two bombshells end up getting together. So it was really nice to see that like Pepe actually had his eye on Iris, and Iris was just like, yeah, I never really considered the fact that like me and Pepe could ever potentially explore a romantic connection. So I feel like her and Pepe's connection feels a lot more genuine than the connection that she had with TJ. So I was kind of like glad that she was able to like get over the TJ situation relatively quickly and start really seeing what was Gucci with Pepe. Also, in this episode, Shelly and Chris confirmed that they were done exploring their connection, and she told Ace, like, yeah, like, I'm done exploring, so I'm really glad that they closed that off. And Amaya officially said, yeah, I am done with Zach, and she started her connection with Brian. But then it was just kind of confusing because then it's like, that's when Zach seemed to kind of want to continue to keep pursuing Amaya, even though she said like, you're a chop. And I really think it's because he ended up finding out that she was the fan favorite. I think she was voted like most genuine when they had one of those challenges. So he was kind of like, yeah, you know, I F with Amaya heavy. And it's like, I thought you didn't. Like every single thing about the way that you've been moving, where you called her out unnecessarily in the stand on business challenge, told her to her face that you didn't even actually want to kiss her, that doesn't give you F with her heavy. Like, I'm so confused. So he was really giving mixed signals, but I'm glad that Amaya was like, no, like, we are done, okay? And I'm interested in Brian. And then I really like the fact that towards the end of the episode, once Amaya and Brian were chatting to each other a little bit more and getting to know each other a little bit more, he told her that all of the cons that Ace, Zach, and Austin said about her are pros in his eyes. And I'm like that is so sweet of him to say, because I just feel like for a second, like, it seemed like Amaya was like, am I being gaslit right now? Like, what is the issue? Like, every single one of these boys are acting like I'm the problem and I'm a weirdo, when in reality it's like, no girl, you're not tripping. Every single boy that you've been coupled up with, they've been a weirdo. Like, you can't help it that every single one of the boys in here has just been really strange. And I don't like the way that they've been acting like she's just doing the most. Like, girls that have big personalities also deserve to be able to, like, be met where they're at and given, you know, the same type of love as anybody else. So I'm glad that Brian really continued to affirm and just reassure her that, like, no, every single thing that they don't like about you, I do like about you. Those are green flags in my opinion. I like you for the way that you are. You don't have to apologize for being affectionate. You don't have to apologize for being loud. Like, it's cool with me. And then they had such a cute little kiss and the speak easy while she was wearing her little muumuu. I'm like, period. I know that's right. OMG. I feel like the Amaya and Brian kiss was kind of right up there with the Nicolandria kiss. Like, chef's kiss, no pun intended. Like, that was such a sweet moment. I love this for Amaya. Papaya. Okay, then we skip After Sun because I don't watch that, and we move on to episode 30. And in my notes I wrote down that Cierra got kicked out of the villa. They said it was for personal reasons, but we all know that it's because she said a racial slur against the Asian community. I don't stand for that whatsoever, and I think that ultimately they made the right decision. But it's just so crazy to me how the casting directors are probably just like sick to their stomach boots, because it's like, how does this happen twice in one season? Like, honestly, I feel like this speaks volumes to the fact that they were kind of just reckless this year. They probably saw a lot of things, but just continue to just like let them be on the, you know, the show just so they could get good TV anyway, because there's so many people who are saying like, I was almost on Love Island too, and they do a thorough, extensive background search. So I don't understand how these things were missed before they were cast on the show. So it's like, either y'all genuinely didn't do your jobs and see a lot of these things, these potential problems with some of these cast members, or you just didn't care. Like, I'm so confused how 2 people in one season end up getting voted off because they said a racial slur. And allegedly the streets are saying that Huda also said a racial slur as well. I'm not sure what it is because I didn't care enough to even look into it, but I'm like, 3 for 3? 3 for 3, guys? Like, this is crazy. So Cierra is gone, and then in that episode Taylor also planned a breakfast date for Clark, and they were discussing like life after the villa. And I just wrote down that I'm not really convinced that Clark wants to be a country girly. Like, I don't really see them lasting long, but hey, like, that's their tea. At the end of the day, Taylor says that, you know, he loves that, but I don't really feel like the energy is really being reciprocated on Clark's end. But then again, maybe we're not being shown everything. But so far from the edit that we are shown, I feel like Taylor seems to like Clark a lot more than she likes him. And I feel like we don't really get to see a lot of her personality. So either they're cutting things out, or she truly just doesn't have any personality. Because like I said in last week's episode, I feel like Clark is one of the most boring Islanders that we've ever had in the history of Islanders between UK and US. Like, she's just gonna really stand around, give you a couple words, smirk, and then look at the floor. Like, where is the personality? Where's the persona? And then it's like, whenever, you know, they'll be in their confessionals, Taylor will be like, I love this about Clark, blah, 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 blah. You know, he's going off, yap, 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 yap. And then Clark talks and she's like, what more could a girl want? And it's like, girl, give us something else. Tell me the top 3 things that you like about Taylor. Tell me the top 3 things that you like about Taylor now. because you are giving us the same one-liners and it's not really going into detail or like description on how you're actually feeling. Like, we don't really know how you actually feel because there's no depth to any of the conversations that you're having with him that we're shown or what you're giving in the confessional. So I'm really confused, but whatever. And then at the end of that episode, Nic and Olandria end up getting together at the recoupling, and they decided to give their connection a genuine shot this time. Now that, Olandria is not worried about Taylor anymore, and Nic doesn't have to worry about Cierra anymore now that she's out of the villa. And I was screaming from the rooftops, shouting from the rooftops. You could have heard me in the next city over because Nicolandria is back. Nicolandria and 5. Are you kidding me? Cierra died. Nicolandria and 5. Like, period. Oh my goodness. I was just so over the moon at the fact that they were able to explore their connection. And I feel like Olandria is finally opening up her eyes, right? And I love the fact that she was like, yeah, like, it's just crazy to me how we've been through this journey and we keep coming back to each other, And it's like, I love the fact that they're both aware that, like, okay, this might be a sign, because the fact that our paths keep leading back to each other, maybe that means that we really do need to give this a genuine shot. And like I said, I was right, like, Olandria basically did admit that she wasn't able to give Nic a genuine chance the first time around that they tried to explore their connection because she was so worried about Cierra. And she was basically able to admit that I, for the first time this time around with choosing Nic, was able to genuinely be selfish and go after what I genuinely want rather than thinking about everybody else. And it was the same thing for him. So I love that down. And it's just crazy to me how, like, Taylor doesn't seem to give, like, literal two craps about Nic exploring his connection with Olandria, which is just proving to me that he never really liked that girl. He's like, go ahead, bro. Do what you got to do. And I'm like, right. And the fact that that night when they got in the bed together, they were like cuddling, and I'm like, ooh, period. Like, So it's like, at the end of the day, I feel like everybody is trying to say that, like, the Nicolandria hive is like being delusional. But at the end of the day, like, we can't just we're not pulling these delusions like out of our butt. Okay, like, they themselves, Nic and Olandria, are putting down the seeds and telling us how they feel about this and saying that they believe that there is something there to explore and that they are attracted to each other. The friendship is there, the trust is there, the bond is there, the physical attraction is there. So obviously there means that there could potentially be something real between them two. And I've also been loving the fact that I've been seeing different TikToks from Nic's, I think, sister, that has been posting Nic's mom, and she has been, like, openly supporting Nicolandria as well. So I think that also speaks volumes that Nic's own mother also says that she feels like Olandria is really good for him and that she brings out a more serious side to Nic, so he can be able to step up and be mature and be there for her. But also at the same time, he brings out a more playful side to her. She said this, and then, like, I think a week later, Nic also said the same thing. So it's like, this is not a coinky dink. This is not delusion. Okay, this is real. All right, like. Like, this is crazy. So I just love the fact that his mom also really seems to support the connection as well. So I'm just really hoping that in this last week, we can really get to see them push the connection a little bit more and explore it and just see, like, how far can we go with this? How are we feeling about this, And then in episode 31, the Islanders get waken up in the middle of the night by babies crying, and each couple is given a fake baby. Some of the couples even have twins. I think Ace and Shelly had twins, and then Pepe and Iris had twins, and they have to take care of the baby for the day. And I love the fact that Nic and Olandria named their son Marcel because that's Nic's middle name. And at the end of the day, I feel like he is not beating the light-skinned, African-American male allegations at this point, guys, because that's crazy to me that the fact that his middle name is Marcel, like, that is a black man. Like, it's just so funny to me because I love to joke around and say that, like, Nic is black, because it's just, like, crazy how he always says, like, a lot of, like, black sayings, and he has, like, a lot of, like, I don't know, black mannerisms and like things that he does, but he doesn't do it with having a black scent, which I love. And it's like all of the videos that I've seen from his like daily life, he seems to have like a lot of black friends, so it just makes so much sense that like he's literally the only white man in the villa right now, but he's still able to just like vibe with everybody, because like that's a light-skinned man, period. And then of course, like as the day goes on, while all of the couples are taking care of their babies, Pepe and Iris are making breakfast. They got the baby sitting up on the counter. I'm like, child. Like, it was so funny, and I was really glad to be able to have like this lighthearted, fun episode, because I feel like at this point the producers know that we've been literally going through the gags with this season, so they've been trying to give us these fun, you know, moments so we can just be able to have a breather and a refresher during all of the drama. But of course I was like upset because everything was going so well. You know, Ace was being really funny when it came to him taking care of the babies. Taylor stepped up and he was like taking care of the babies. I didn't see Clark not do a thing. Maybe that was the edit, but I'm like, girl, you just gonna make Taylor take care of the baby all day? But anyways, but then it's like everything's going good. It's so funny. Kiki, lol. And then of course Huda has to suck the fun out of every single thing ever. And I wrote down she gave Chris a hard time with the baby, and she was acting like it was real. And you can tell at that point he's kind of over her, because she's yelling at him about the baby's neck. Girl, it's a doll. It's a doll. I don't like the color of that. Once again, does it really matter what clothes that he's putting on the baby? It's a doll. It's a doll. Like, girl, relax. Like, you're just doing too much. So at that point, I'm like, yeah, Chris, I don't know. You just gonna have to like figure this out, because it was cute until it wasn't when it came to you and Huda. So I don't really know. Good luck to him. And then of course at the end of that episode, once they were done taking care of the babies, I forgot who won that challenge, but either way, it was a moment. And then they ended up texting the Islanders that the hideaway was open, which I thought was interesting because we haven't really had too many moments with the hideaway being open this season. I guess there really hasn't been a need, since like everybody is like sexually active as it is. So why would they really need the hideaway? But we get the hideaway, and they vote for a couple to go in there, and they vote for Amaya and Brian. And a lot of people didn't agree with the Islanders' decision to send them in, since they're such a new couple. But it's like, okay, like that doesn't make them any less deserving. Like, they deserve to be able to have a moment too. You know, they're a genuine couple, unlike Chris and Huda. So it's like, why not send them in there, you know? So I liked it. And the fact that when the girls got Amaya ready, she came down those stairs, she looked gorgeous. Serving face, serving body. Like, oh my goodness, that outfit was just like gorge. Love her down. So I'm really glad that they had such a good time together and were able to, you know, just build on their bond even more while they were in there. And then that leaves us to episode 32, yesterday's episode, and it basically just kind of like everything between Chris and Huda kind of boiled over, and he was just feeling some type of way because she's been kind of, you know, bossy and annoying over the past couple of days. And then on top of that, he's also really irritated with her because he feels like she doesn't kiss him outside of a challenge, and also like doesn't want to really seem to kiss him like when other people are around, but then the second they get in bed, she wants to be intimate with him. And I, you know, feel like Chris's feelings are valid here. Like, I don't understand why she's moving the way that she's moving with that. And I guess once they tried to, you know, talk about it, her excuse was, well, I feel like if we kiss in front of other people, then that's mean. And I'm like, what? Mean to who? Like, I don't understand. And once again, I don't feel like Huda has like necessarily bad intentions, but she's just so awful at expressing properly what she's actually feeling. And once Chris and Huda like separated, he was able to talk to Amaya about his situation, and Amaya like validated his feelings. And I think Huda ended up also talking to Amaya and told Huda like, okay, this is why Chris is feeling away. And then Huda was able to actually express how she really felt with Amaya, and basically told her that like, I am just kind of scared because when I've been moving in the villa, and I have been like, you know, intimate with somebody outside of a challenge and outside of the bed in front of everybody, it kind of like backfired. And then like when me and Chris kissed each other, Olandria aired out our kiss in front of everybody, and it kind of caused me to have backlash. So I'm a little bit triggered. And it's like, if that was the gag, then that's all you had to say, girl. That's all you had to say. And it's like, ugh. I just feel like ultimately then, once she was done with her sentence, she was basically like, I am, just worried because I feel like I'm letting him down, or I'm like disappointing him. And it's like, okay, if that's the gag, then you should just tell him that. Like, I don't even know, guys. The more I try to just like understand and like even explain why Huda is the way that she is, and try to understand like what her intentions really are versus what she's saying, it just makes my mind feel like it's being scrambled up like eggs. Like, I need to be free from this girl, and that is going to be my favorite part about once this season is over, no longer having to deal with her antics, because I love the show, but she's just really, really doing a lot. Like, I don't understand what was so hard about genuinely just expressing your genuine fears or triggers with Chris instead of like being defensive. And then it was just so difficult to watch them have that conversation because she kept cutting him off, and he's like, let me finish, stop cutting me off. And it's like, girl, by the third time I would have got up and left if I was him, because I'm not about to keep telling you the same thing over and over again. You have a daughter, you know how to be mature, you know how to sit down and listen and let somebody talk. So why aren't you letting me talk? Like, she's just a chop. Anyways, and then after that, the boys ended up getting a text, and they basically said that they had to go away and play basketball. So that was a nice little fun moment to be able to like break us up from all the drama and watch them play a game. And the only, professional basketball players out of the Islanders are Chris and Pepe. So that was really interesting to see, like, how were they going to play in this game. And I was also really interested to see that Taylor seemed to do well in basketball as well. I'm like, okay, maybe he could play a little bit. And after that, once they were done with the game, they sat around and they basically just did a Pepsi ad and drank some Pepsi and kind of talked about their feelings with their current couple. So in the end, the couple that ended up getting sent home was Taylor and Clark. And it was so funny to me because like once Huda and Chris like sat down after they realized that they were safe, Chris looked so depressed, and he was like, man, I almost wished that it almost seemed like he wished that he was able to get voted off and that it was him and Huda leaving because he was so tired of her antics. And like during that moment when they were sitting down, Huda tried to like look at him and try to comfort him and have like a personal moment of connection, and he just was not having it. And I thought that was so funny. Like at this point, he literally was looking like he was in prison. Like, free Chris. Like, he is totally regretting his decision with exploring things with Huda. Like, that's crazy. So yeah, sorry to Taylor and Clark. You guys didn't make it to the end to win that money, win that coin. But at the end of the day, they seemed happy because at least they found each other. And if they believe in their connection, then that's all that matters. Like I said, I don't really see it lasting that long outside the villa, but I wish them the best. And you never know, they might surprise us. And she may actually turn around to fit in well with the country life. We'll see. But yeah, so that's the end of the episodes for now, and I am just like really excited to get closer towards the end to really see who are going to be the top couples and who's going to win this thing. And it's just really interesting now that like we're going towards the finale and nobody is closed off in the villa right now, and nobody is boyfriend and girlfriend, because you watch seasons like UK where you had like Tyreek and Ella. At that point they were like boyfriend and girlfriend at the end, I think, so it's really interesting now. Like, nobody has locked it down in their relationship, but they still have the potential to win this thing. So that is very interesting. So I will keep you guys posted once I watch episode 30 3 and beyond, and check back in with you guys next week to share my thoughts on the last week of the season. I can't believe it's really coming to an end. And then of course we have my favorite thing of the week, and my favorite thing of the week this week I wanted to share with you guys is PinkPantheress. She dropped a new mixtape and it's called Fancy That, and I have been loving this mixtape. For those who don't know, I really enjoy PinkPantheress music because I feel like she's so different. Her music is so unique. She just has such a specific, unique sound that just really does a lot of like good things for my ears and my ADHD. Like, she gives me lots of like vocal stems like no other, and I'm just like, yeah. Like, I need that. Like, love her down. And my favorite songs on this project so far are Illegal, Tonight, Stars, Noises, Nice to Know You, and Stateside. So yeah, I would highly recommend you guys to check out that new PinkPantheress mixtape because she really ate down. Like, I am loving it. Every single time I'm in the car, you already know I'm bumping that. Like, no brat, like, no pun intended, you know. So that's what I got for you guys this week. And then once we are done with Love Island, I have some other topics about, you know, non-reality TV related things that I'm excited to get in with you guys and talk about. So if there's any other topics that you guys want me to discuss after this Love Island era is over, feel free to let me know in the comments or message me on Instagram at A Little Bit A Lot Podcast or TikTok as well. And while you're at it, why don't you follow my coloring account? Your girl loves cozy coloring, and my content has been doing pretty well over there. It's at Coloring with Kristen on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. So thank you so much to everybody that has been supporting that venture as well. I really had a good time chatting with you guys. So excited to, like I said, to see who wins this thing. And like I said at the beginning, if you're watching on YouTube, give this video a like, comment down below, let me know what you thought about the episode, subscribe, rate that 5 stars, and leave a review on Spotify and Apple. And with that, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Cause I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya.